Hey guys, welcome back to Nintendo Maniac. Before I get really started with 2022, let's have a quick look at last year. This is the worst of Nintendo of 2021. And it's a top 5, not to be too negative. All entries must be something Nintendo specific. So something from Nintendo itself, or Nintendo exclusive, which could be a Switch first or Switch physical release only. Small spoiler, there are no Switch games in here, so I'm guessing it will be a surprising list for you guys. At number 5, we have the Nintendo Direct of October. Expectations were high, very high, certainly mine were, and they were not met. To be honest, expectations should never be a reason to judge something on, so it's not the reason why it's on this list. If you didn't watch my reaction video, there's a link on the screen and one in the description down below that goes into more detail. But in short, there weren't that many great announcements. The best one was even spoiled shortly before the broadcast and it was just filled with a lot of fluff. If you watch a lot of other channels, you've seen some extreme happy reactions, or nerdgasms even, only for those same people to complain about the announced releases, like the Switch Online Plus, in the months to follow. That frustrated me, and it also kept this Direct freshly in my mind. In all fairness, the Direct was entertaining, there were a few good announcements, it was okay, yet still bad enough to make it my number 5 for the worst of Nintendo 2021. At number 4 we have the 35th anniversary of The Legend of Zelda. Let's face it, Mario's 35th anniversary wasn't spectacular, but Zelda's is worse. Nobody forces Nintendo to celebrate it at all, of course, just look at Samus. Still, when you do, please make it better. Don't believe other videos about how much Nintendo has done, because it's flawed. Hyrule Warriors was just a normal release. Skyward Sword is just another remake. Now the only real thing we got was the Game & Watch. And when you look at the popularity of the one for Mario's 35th anniversary, you can imagine this one is even worse. There could have easily been more coming from this major franchise. Let's hope that Nintendo has been saving up and we get more goodies with Breath of the Wild 2 coming this year. At number 3 we have Preorder Bonuses. More and more there's a difference between what pre-order bonuses are available between different stores and different countries. It's a luxury, for sure, but when you see for example what the UK got as pre-order bonuses for Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl and what we got in mainland Europe, that's just weird. To make it worse, it's almost a science to get the right bonuses at times. It's part of why I started the Nintendo release reports, because I felt more information is necessary to make such buying decisions these days. Sadly, it seems this will continue in 2022, looking at Pokemon Legends Arceus. Some localization is to be expected, but Nintendo, please give us all a fair chance on something special, don't prioritize certain countries too much, and especially not certain stores. Such exclusivity can only lead to unfair situations. And at number 2, our runner-up, we have Amiibo. The toys to game industry has fallen out of grace these last few years, and that meant less Amiibo. A lot less. And most of what we got had issues. The Zelda and Lovewing Amiibo, that I personally love, was already quite pricey, with a scam bonus that should have been in the game even without the Amiibo. The Metroid Dread Amiibos had shipment issues for mainland Europe, and the Monster Hunter Amiibos, that in Europe are only available in Nintendo Store, are constantly out of stock, with no certainty if they will ever return. Even if 2022 and beyond won't have that many Amiibos being released, I hope they will be with much less issues. Before we get to our number 1, here are some dishonorable mentions. The Nintendo Switch OLED. It's not the Switch Pro that we were hoping for, but it's still a decent machine. Yet honestly, this could have technically been the Switch at the original release, though probably at a higher price point. It just doesn't have that many improvements for us console users, just as a handheld gamer. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are fun games, but as far as remakes go, these don't offer too much extra. Also, looking at the conflicting art styles within the games and the many glitches and bugs that has been exploited immediately that should have definitely not been there in the first place, this was a contender for me to put it on the list. Grand Theft Auto The Trilogy Definitive Edition. There is so much wrong with this release, it has to be mentioned on lists like these. The only reason it didn't make it is because it's not a Switch exclusive. Yet, the issues are worse on the Switch than any other console. True. And now for our number 1, the worst of Nintendo in 2021 is Pikmin Bloom. I bet you didn't even think of this game being on the list, let alone at the top spot. Pikmin Bloom is a mobile game that was released a few months ago. Pikmin is of course a Nintendo franchise, but Niantic, the company that you probably know from Pokemon Go, is the developer behind it. And Niantic is a horrible company, and the reason why I judged this as the worst of Nintendo last year. There are numerous reasons to worry when Niantic is behind the game. They oversimplified the Pokemon franchise and do not follow the generations. Adjustments due to the COVID-19 pandemic that were announced to be permanent were suddenly announced to be rolled back in the middle of the pandemic. They are so untrue to their word. Bugs are listed for months. I've counted up to 9 months even, only to be called fixed, and yet they're still there. Their support is totally non-existent. Reports and questions aren't read, they just copy-paste answers and lie. Complaints about their support is dealt with themselves, so not at all. Scam code has been found in their apps, making it appear you have a chance on success, but it has been predetermined you'll fail anyway. And they totally failed to make the Harry Potter mobile game a success. Niantic is a company without quality standards, values, morals and principles. All things Nintendo is well known and appreciated for. Any Nintendo franchise in the hands of such a company is bad news. Very bad news. And that's why Pikmin Bloom by Niantic is the worst of Nintendo 2021. Taking everything into account, Nintendo has had worse years. The Switch is doing great and most of these entries, except Niantic, aren't that bad. Still, let's hope these get fixed and we won't see them return in next year's list. Please let me know what you agree on or disagree on this list. Did I miss something that you think totally deserves to be mentioned? Please write it down in the comments down below. Thanks for watching and up to more positive videos.